You will die tonight, then you'll wake up and forget it happened. That's not a joke. That's what sleep actually is. If you strip away the comfort we've wrapped around it. Every night your brain does something that on paper looks less like rest and more like a controlled shutdown. Consciousness, the thing that makes you, you, the narrator sitting behind your eyes, goes dark. Not dimmed, dark. And then hours later it switches back on and you call this waking up, like nothing happened. But something did happen, and we still don't fully know what. Here's the strange part. Death is final. We understand that, even if we don't like it. Sleep is supposed to be the opposite, safe, temporary, boring even. Yet, if you look at what's actually going on inside a sleeping brain, the line between temporarily gone and gone gets blurrier than most people want to admit. Let's start with the obvious question nobody asks out loud. Where do you go? Not your body. Your body just lies there, breathing, twitching sometimes. I mean, the part of you having this experience right now, the awareness reading these words, during deep sleep, that awareness doesn't just quiet down. In certain stages, it disappears from the readings almost entirely. Neuroscientists studying deep non-REM sleep have watched large areas of the cortex, the wrinkled outer layer of your brain, responsible for thought, memory, self-recognition, go quiet in a way that looks on a screen disturbingly close to loss of consciousness under anesthesia. Under anesthesia, think about that phrase for a second. Not resting, not relaxing. The same category of brain state doctors induce before they cut you open so that you won't be there for it. Every single night, your brain volunteers for something close to that, voluntarily, repeatedly. And you don't remember agreeing to it because the part of you that could object was the first thing switched off. Now, here's where it gets stranger. If sleep were just the brain resting, you'd expect it to slow down uniformly, like a city dimming its lights at midnight. That's not what happens. Some regions go quiet. Others, especially during REM sleep, the stage tied to dreaming, light up almost as much as when you're awake, sometimes more, in the emotional centers of the brain. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the part that plans, judges, keeps you logical, goes half offline. That's why dreams don't make sense and you don't notice. The part of your brain whose entire job is noticing, wait, this doesn't add up, is switched off while the wait, this doesn't add up thing is happening. So which is it? Are you there experiencing a dream, or are you gone and something else is running the show, generating a story with your face on it that you'll later misremember as you... I want to sit in that discomfort for a second because most science content rushes past it to get to the fun facts. I'm not going to do that yet. Let's talk about what actually happens when you fall asleep, step by step, because the process itself is stranger than the outcome. It starts with something called sleep spindles, short bursts of electrical activity, half a second long, that ripple across your brain right as you're drifting off. For a long time, scientists thought these were just background noise. Now we think they're doing something closer to librarians sorting books at 2 a.m., grabbing the events of your day, deciding what gets filed into long-term memory and what gets thrown out. Here's the number that should stop you. You form thousands of memories every single day. Faces, conversations, the taste of your coffee, a stray thought about your rent. Almost none of that survives. Most of it is deleted before morning. Sleep isn't just rest, it's editing. And you don't get a vote on what gets cut. Wait, let that sit for a second. You are, tonight, going to lose most of today. Not metaphorically, structurally. The version of you that wakes up tomorrow will have a smaller, curated, rewritten copy of who you were today. And you'll have no memory of the deletion happening because the editor doesn't leave a note. Now push deeper into the stage called deep slow wave sleep. This is where the closest thing to gone happens. In the 1950s and 60s, researchers began attaching electrodes to sleeping brains and watching the electrical patterns on paper. Awake, the brain looks like static, fast, chaotic, thousands of small spikes, the visual signature of billions of neurons arguing with each other in real time. That's what a working mind looks like on paper, noise. In deep sleep, that noise collapses into slow, wide, synchronized waves, big, smooth hills instead of static. It looks almost peaceful on the page. But peaceful is the wrong word for what it represents. It represents huge populations of neurons falling into rhythm together, firing in unison, then going silent in unison, over and over, like a stadium crowd that used to be shouting individual conversations and is now instead doing the wave. Same people, completely different kind of activity. And if you tried to have a private thought in the middle of the wave, there'd be nowhere for it to live. This is the stage where if you wake someone up, they usually say, nothing was happening. Not, I don't remember my dream, nothing, a blank. Some researchers who study disorders of consciousness, comas, vegetative states, anesthesia, use this exact signature, this collapse into slow, synchronized waves as one of their benchmarks for unconsciousness, not lighter consciousness. Not consciousness in a foreign language, absence. So when someone tells you I slept like the dead last night, they are biologically closer to correct than they think. But here's the twist that keeps this from being a horror story. Unlike death, this state is reversible on a schedule roughly every 90 minutes, all night, back and forth between gone and dreaming and something closer to half there. Your brain isn't failing, it's cycling through architecture on purpose. It built a staircase down into unconsciousness and a staircase back up, and it walks both nightly without you ever choosing to, which raises an uncomfortable question. If your brain can voluntarily walk itself down into something that looks like the edge of non-existence and climb back out again cleanly every night, then what exactly is it that doesn't come back when a person dies? Let's go somewhere most sleep videos don't go, the moment right before you wake up. There's a stage, hypnopompic, that neuroscientists use for the fuzzy zone between asleep and awake. It usually lasts seconds. But in that window, something measurable happens. Your sense of self rebuilds itself in stages, not all at once. First to come back, basic sensation, sound, the weight of the blanket, then awareness that time has passed, then a beat later, sometimes a full second or two later, the knowledge of who you are, your name, your life, the fact that you have a job, a family, a body with a history attached to it. For that gap, often under 2 seconds, but real and measurable, you are conscious and you don't yet know that you're you. Sit with that. There is a version of waking up every single morning where awareness arrives slightly before identity does. A blank window where something is experiencing the room, the light, the sound of a bird outside before it remembers it's supposed to be attached to a particular name, a particular life, a particular set of worries waiting on the other side of the bedroom door. Most people never notice this gap. It's too short, and memory smooths it over immediately, the same way a movie editor cuts around a bad take. But some people, after extreme sleep deprivation, or waking from anesthesia, or in certain neurological conditions, report that gap stretching out long enough to feel it. And what they describe, again and again, isn't fear. It's a strange, blank calm. Awareness with nothing attached to it yet. Here's why that matters for the bigger question we started with. If identity, the sense of being you specifically, with your specific history, is something that gets reassembled after consciousness returns, rather than something consciousness carries with it automatically, then you are not one continuous flame that dims and brightens. You are every single day partly reconstructed, rebuilt from stored pieces by a machine that isn't fully awake yet when it starts the rebuilding. Now think about dreamless sleep from the other side. You don't experience the gap of nothing. Nobody does. You go to bed, and from the inside, the next thing that happens is morning. No darkness noticed, no waiting room, no sense of duration. 8 hours vanish without a trace, and the brain doesn't even flag it as strange because there's no one there to flag it. That absence of experienced absence is actually one of the stranger clues we have about consciousness itself. It suggests that you are not a continuous observer watching a black screen every night. You're something closer to a process that switches off completely and then later switches back on and mistakes the switching on for continuity. If that's true of one night, here's the question nobody wants to finish out loud. Why would it not also be true of one lifetime? I'm not saying it is. Nobody knows. That's not a cop-out. It's the honest edge of what neuroscience can currently tell you. But the fact that we can even ask the question this seriously, using real data from real sleeping brains, should tell you something. Sleep isn't a soft, cozy cousin of death that we invented to make death less scary. It might be the closest working model we have, a death you get to survive nightly by accident before we even understood what either of them really are. So where does that leave you lying in bed tonight? Somewhere between two facts that don't fit together comfortably. Fact one, tonight, in some real, measurable, electrical sense, most of you, the noticing, judging, self-aware part, is going to switch off. Fact two, tomorrow, something claiming to be you is going to wake up in your bed, use your name, remember your childhood, and walk out the door completely convinced that nothing happened in between. Every night of your life, you've been trusting a process you can't observe to reassemble a person you can't verify, using pieces you didn't choose to keep. And it's worked every time, so far. Zoom out for a second. Your entire species figured out fire, language, cities, and rockets, all of it using a brain that spends a third of its existence doing something that still, right now, in 2026, doesn't have a fully agreed upon explanation. We don't actually know with certainty why sleep evolved the way it did. We have strong theories: memory consolidation, cellular repair, clearing metabolic waste from around your neurons. All probably true, all probably incomplete, which means every civilization, every love letter, every war, every proof in mathematics, all of it was produced by minds that routinely, voluntarily, nightly, walked themselves to the edge of not existing and back without ever fully understanding the walk. That should make you feel small, genuinely. You are a temporary electrical pattern rebuilding itself from scratch most mornings, borrowing continuity from memories that are quietly being edited while you're not watching. But turn that around and look at it from the other side, a pattern that vanishes and reassembles itself every 24 hours and still manages somehow to remain recognizably, stubbornly you, opinionated, curious. Half annoyed at your alarm clock isn't fragile. It's the opposite. It means whatever you actually are isn't stored in one fragile, unbroken thread that could snap. It's stored in the pattern itself. And patterns, unlike threads, can survive being interrupted. You've already died a little, thousands of times, one night at a time, and come back anyway. That's not something to be afraid of before bed tonight. That's just quietly one of the strangest things a human being does and never once gets a certificate for.